Are you sick of being quarantined? Do you want to rebel against the system before martial law sets in? Well, it's time to go outside, get in a car, and go on a road trip, because this is Haunted Road Trips, where we are taking a trip around the country to see the most haunted places in your state and in mine. Today we are visiting the land of 10,000 lakes. That's right, my home state of Minnesota, to see what kind of scares we can find. And guess what? You're invited to tag along. This is 5 of the most haunted places in Minnesota. Let's go. Our first stop is at the Anoka State Hospital. The haunted reputation of the former Anoka State Hospital is known throughout the state, and even beyond it. From apparitions appearing in the windows, to an eerie feeling in the halls. Both workers and visitors have reported what they believe to be paranormal encounters. The Anoka State Hospital opened in 1900 as a transfer asylum. Thousands of patients were treated at this asylum until its closure in 1999. Although many patients left the hospital through the front door, many others are said to have escaped a different way, by hanging themselves on the premises. Witnesses say they have heard phantom footsteps, noises, whispers, and laughter, and even felt cold spots within the building and in the tunnels which connect the buildings, which reportedly have been closed to all but maintenance workers and security guards. Controversial treatment methods such as shock therapy were used on patients in this facility. Many cases of nurses' abuse have also been reported over the years. Many attribute that to some of the patients' untimely demise, and also their reason for staying behind. While researching the history of this building, I came across an account from one of the nearby residents. This is a story from a user who goes by Kayla. She says,
"Almost a half a year ago, I, a stupid teenager, thought it would be cool to go to these so-called haunted asylums. You know, I looked on every website about it being haunted and became very intrigued. So I came to the asylums a few times, and I kept feeling sick to my stomach every time I showed up. Maybe because I was scared, who knows. My ex-friend and I were the only ones this time, and we were just taking pictures before we left. But then she goes, 'Kayla,' in a scared voice, looking exactly where the opening of the tunnel entrance thing, and this head turns slowly to us and has these glowing eyes and just stares. We then moved to the other side where the back road is, and took pictures of that exact spot later that night. We were analyzing every aspect of the photos and found a clear face with an open mouth and horns. That place has evil presences in there. I don't care what anybody says."
Our second stop is the Kirkbride in Fergus Falls, Minnesota, also known as the Fergus Falls State Hospital. Built in 1890, the Fergus Falls State Hospital was used to house many patients with mental illnesses. It was originally built to solve the case of overcrowding that plagued the area. However, the Fergus Falls State Hospital quickly became overcrowded. Patients could be admitted voluntarily, but many were sent by court order. Most stayed for life. Over the course of the 20th century, hospital leaders were on the forefront of treatments like occupational therapy and shock treatment. Still, the court system treated the hospital as simply a convenient way to isolate social outcasts. Most patients were poor and were deemed unfit to be in normal society. The asylum was open for over a century, finally closing in 2005. The building is currently in the process of being demolished because the cost of renovating the building outweighed the usefulness of the building, which is really a shame because this is the most haunted place I have ever been in my life. Many people have entered the asylum to find proof of the supernatural, and I myself can attest to the hauntedness of this building. This is just some of the paranormal events that have been captured here.
What the fuck? You see it? You ever see something's eyes glow?
If the video evidence isn't enough for you, you will see dark figures running down the halls, hear footsteps follow you down the empty hallways. In the second floor children's wing, you will hear the laughs of children coming out of thin air. In the tunnels below the building, you will hear solid steel doors slam shut by themselves in this poorly ventilated area. And even the sound of chains rattling in the distance can be heard. You definitely can feel a weight on you as soon as you enter here. However, if you do get to make it to this building before it is destroyed, be warned there's an alarming amount of mold and asbestos inside the building, especially in the tunnels, so enter at your own risk. Our next stop is the music venue First Avenue in Minneapolis. The building opened in 1937 as a Greyhound bus station. The transformation from a closed bus depot into a concert venue was developed in 1968 by local rock and roll performer Danny Stevens. Since then, it has been a successful music venue hosting some of the most influential artists of the last generation, including Aerosmith, Coldplay, Marilyn Manson, U2, and of course Prince. However, this venue is not all fun and games. Some creepy things have been reported to happen at First Avenue. So if you have tickets, you might want to look at who's dancing next to you. She might not have any legs. No, I'm serious. The woman who is said to haunt First Avenue is a blonde woman who has been seen out on the dance floor, having a boogie, dancing without legs. It's said when the site was a bus station long ago, a distraught woman hung herself in the restroom. She was going to meet her boyfriend who was returning home from war, when she learned he had died in combat. People have also seen her many times in the ladies' bathroom. Here's a first-hand account from a user named Francis Brown, and he says,
"Was friends with the owner, also played many shows in the entry, went to the basement of the main room. At the bottom of the stairs there was a mop and bucket. We heard the mop fall over. We went and put it back in the bucket and set it upright again, only to watch the mop fall over and stop in midair a couple of times on its way down. Also, I've heard accounts of people getting locked in the basement for periods of time. The entry basement, we watched a lady float down the stairs, stop, and basically float back up at twice the speed of a running person."
Staff at First Avenue have also reported seeing ghostly images presumed to be of homeless men who have allegedly passed away at the venue, and DJs have reportedly heard loud growls and screams inside of their headphones. So if you decide to go see a concert in Minneapolis, you might get more of a show than you bargained for. Our fourth stop on our road trip has a bit of a diner murder mystery vibe.
The Darling Lutheran Church, near Little Falls, Minnesota. April 10th, 1905, where Annie Kintop met her demise in an unsolved murder. Her body was found in the willows nearby, yet traces of blood were found here inside the Darling Lutheran Church.
Many people debate the murder of Mary Annie Kintop. It's such a debated topic, in fact, there's even a book about the murder. However, the story that is most widely accepted is this. Mary was 24 years old when she got off the passenger train in Darling, Minnesota. She was on her way to see her mother who lived nearby. While walking to her mother's house, she was approached by two African Americans who had offered to walk her home. However, she never made it very far. When the three of them were alone, the two men attacked Mary, and she started screaming violently. So in order to not attract any unwanted attention, the two men decide to seek shelter in an unoccupied building. This building obviously being the Darling Church. Once there, the two men took turns sexually assaulting Mary, beating her and cutting her with a knife every time she screamed. Once the two men were finished with Mary, they decided to finish the job so she would never be able to speak about this horrific act again. Some people say they killed Mary inside the church by snapping her neck, while others say it was even worse than that. Some say that one of the men had brought a rope, which he used to make a makeshift noose, which he then put around Mary's neck and dragged her out of the church. He then strung her up on the tree outside. However, either way it actually went down, the only thing known for sure about Mary's death is that her body was found in the swamp next to the church a few days later. Her killers were never found, and Mary now haunts the church and the surrounding area, searching for an end to her eternal suffering. However, if Mary isn't enough to scare you, well, that's okay, because there are plenty of other spirits roaming around the Darling Church. Because the grounds that surround the church is also a cemetery. Now, I can attest to the hauntedness of this place myself. Here are a few of the paranormal events I have managed to capture on camera.
Were you murdered here? Were you murdered here?
However, if video and audio evidence isn't enough for you, some of my personal experiences at this church include sudden changes in temperature, the sound of knocking on the floor and the walls. Objects have been thrown at me, including rocks, wooden boards, and candles. The sounds of footsteps will walk circles around you. And my scariest encounter was with Mary herself. While me and my friend were sitting under the tree where she was supposedly hung from, I saw Mary in a white tattered dress in the distance, and I wasn't sure what I was seeing at first, but then I realized she was running. She was running at me, and I don't think I've ever ran that fast in my entire life. I would say this would be a great place to get some cheap scares. However, a few years ago, the church was a victim of an arsonist. Somebody burned the entire church to the ground, and we still don't know why, because the arsonist is still at large. However, the graveyard is still there if you want to try to contact Mary Annie Kintop and her friends. If you clicked on this video, the first place that should have came to your mind is our last stop on our road trip, the Palmer House in Sauk Center. It's definitely the most popular haunted attraction in Minnesota. So popular, in fact, that some of your favorite ghost hunter shows have probably visited here, including Ghost Adventures. Originally built in 1864, it was burned to the ground in 1900 from a mysterious fire that nobody knows the cause. It was then rebuilt shortly after into the building you see today. It's said that many people died in that fire, and that is why this building is so haunted to this day. One of the most haunted rooms in this hotel is room 17, also known as Lucy's room. If you sit in Lucy's chair, it's said the chair will move on its own. If you are a man, you might have an even more aggressive experience. It is believed for some unknown reason, Lucy hates men, and if you mess up her room, that will just agitate her even more. The bathroom door is known for slamming for no reason. Many EVPs have been caught in this room, and guests have reported having strange, vivid dreams. Other paranormal hotspots include the basement and room 11. Some of the haunting things that happen at the Palmer House are strange, vivid dreams, seeing full-body apparitions, EVPs are recorded frequently, footsteps will be heard running up and down the hall, as well as children laughing and playing. It is also said that if you bring a big red rubber ball with you into your room, by the time you awaken it will have disappeared. And the scariest thing that has reportedly happened at the Palmer House is frequent possessions, which is when a being takes control of somebody's body. The staff, along with some of the visitors, have reported this strange phenomenon happening to them. So if you do visit this hotel, I advise caution. However, it is claimed as of late that a lot of the Palmer House's supposed haunted events are actually staged or played up in order to drive traffic to the hotel. I have not visited the Palmer House yet to confirm this, however, so I can only go off of people's first-hand experiences. And I find that first-hand experiences about this place are hard to find. So I will have to book a room here soon to kick off Haunted Season 2, so stay tuned for that. But now I want to know, have any of you visited these places? If so, what are some of your experiences? Let us know in the comments below. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, why not leave a like and maybe even subscribe for more great content. We do all the research so you don't have to. And as always, I'm Alex, and I hope you have a fantastic day.
Cuts deeper than the roots of the trees that we planted in the graveyard. I don't think these scars will ever fade off. Good thing nothing seems to faze us. So numb